This is Tom Clark on Unfurled TV. In a lot of walkaway videos, I'm noticing that folks are loosely identifying themselves as libertarian, and I want to encourage folks to, continue to loosely define themselves as libertarian, because just like every other term, academia has split it into 19 different categories, and the average folk have no idea what those categories are. And you've got people that are anarchists that have tried to take over the term, and you've got people that are, and you have people that have certain agendas that have went after that term, and it's just, I don't know, it's a bloody mess over there. So one thing that I thought I would do is kind of describe national or nationalist libertarianism. Now, I don't think that term is being used by academics or, the general population at all. But it reflects my views, I think, very well. And so I wanted to describe that to you folks so you understand my biases, where I'm coming from on issues. And I'm going to apply that to the border issue, whether we should have open or closed borders, because that's a big bone of contention between libertarians and amongst themselves and with outside groups. I think it's silly to have open borders. But I'll tell you how I get there. I'm going to read off my list. So this is my position, political philosophy, as to national libertarianism in a nutshell. A man has a right to live. A man has a right to own property. And by man, I mean men and women. A man has a right to defend his property and the fruits of his labor against aggression. Trespassing against a man's property is an aggression, and it should be lawful to use reasonable force to correct such aggressions against one's property and the fruits of one's labor. Also, a man has a right to voluntarily contract with another or a group of other men. A group of others has the right to hold property as that group. For example, a homeowners association could voluntarily contract to lock down a neighborhood with certain restrictions to living there, like requiring that you can't sell that property unless the new buyer also agrees to be a homeowner, a member of that homeowners association, and that homeowner has to keep their grass mowed. It's all voluntary, it's all contract, there's nothing wrong with it as far as I'm concerned. So a group of men have the right to exclude others from their property. American citizens are nothing more than a group that has the right to exclude others from their property. Those that fail to respect such group ownership is a trespasser, and it should be lawful to use reasonable force to remove the trespassers. Now, my philosophy is a little more complicated than that, because voluntarily entering into a homeowners association is not 100% analogous to being a citizen of the United States. But that's basically my take on what the founders believed as to national borders. They obviously formed a nation. They obviously believed in the non-aggression principle. They obviously believed in natural law. Now, my problem with the extreme, what I call the extreme anti-state position of some libertarianism, is that you don't want others to come into your house. You don't want to go to a movie, come home and find somebody in your house, not invited, just walked in, started using your property. And not only that, when you get there, they start telling you how to live. Hey, you go to work hard, bring home food from the grocery store, pick up some milk and eggs on the way. Also, I don't want you cussing inside your home or saying anything that I don't like. No, no. When I come home from the movies and I find somebody in my home that doesn't believe there, I dial 911 and wait for the cops to arrest them. That's what I do. And if we didn't have a state, like a lot of libertarians don't want, my natural right would then be like, okay, I don't have a cop that I can call to go handle this situation and, make it maybe not peaceable situation, but a situation where, there's a third party that's trained to, de-escalate the situation and is a figure of authority that the community has agreed on to hire to handle this situation, to come in there and take that person out. Instead, if I don't have that option, I'm going to lie in wait, and when I can find those guys, I'm going to, drag them out, club them, knock them out, get rid of them. If they don't understand it, it's going to get worse. So I have a right to my home and use reasonable means to secure that home. In most cases today, you just call the police and they'll handle it for you. That's the most reasonable thing to do, so that's what you do. If you're in your home and the burglars come in and you feel threatened with your life, well, of course you would defend your life. But so I just apply that same philosophy to the national borders. Collectively, the American citizenry owns this land. And if somebody comes into the country, whether we catch them at the border or they get in here and we catch them 5 years later, I don't care. You didn't knock on the door. You didn't ask to come in. Get out. Get out of here. I'm not going to let some intruder in my house stay in my house when I come back from the movie or a dinner date and just accept, this is a nice big house. You got lots of rooms here. I want to stay in one of the rooms. No. Bye. Get out of here. No, I don't want to hear anything you have to say. Nothing you have to say matters to me. Get out. You can disagree with that all you want, but hey, you best not show up to my house with that attitude. Well, I feel the same way about my country. It's just expanding that idea to group ownership of the country, and I think most American citizens feel the exact same way. Now, also, if you come to the border and you knock on the door or my threshold of my home, and I say, okay, you can come in, and I let them in, and they haven't done anything to establish a lease or buy a piece of my property or anything like that. Well, when it's time to go, I can just ask them to leave, and I expect them to leave. I don't know why that's a problem with anybody. It's just common, decent human behavior. And for some reason, there's a lot of libertarians just confounded by this basic, decent respect for the rights of individuals and the rights of individuals to voluntarily form into groups, and for those groups to have rights that they hold in common and have hire people to enforce their rights in common. I don't know why that's anti-libertarian in any way. So basically, that's my position. I hope it makes sense. Look forward to any comments or discussion on the issue. And take care, all.